Good evening, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Got a nice day, good weather here today. So far, it's been a safe holiday weekend here. I'm hoping everybody's got a safe weekend planned and has been safe themselves so far. And can make it to their own ledger. And what I'm talking about tonight, we've got all these people out there doing this process and doing that process and filing this and filing that and filing this and filing that, getting this sent back and having to redo it, or having it totally ignored and doing it again in a different way. And one of the things I want everybody to understand is that's their record. You know, we always talk about well they're keeping two records. They're only ledgering on the credit side of the ledger. They're only accounting on the credit side of the ledger and not the charge-off side. And so we've got to really think about all this stuff and remember, everything that we research, if you look at it, it all comes down to the money thing, every last bit of it. And that's why it's the Federal Reserve Act is so important with the Savings to Suitors Clause. Along with that, you've got the Administrative Procedures Act, which is how the states all operate, as well as the federal government. They all operate through some kind of procedure by administrative rules and regulations. Now, depending on what jurisdiction they're in, they would determine what those regulations would be by process. Natural law says this process. Federal law says this process. State law says this process. Commercial law says this process. But they're all administrative according to whatever jurisdiction you're in. And this is where I want to point out the importance of UCC 1-308 and UCC 1-303.3. 103.3, that clarifies that the law is to be uniform throughout all jurisdictions. And so when we talk about the Federal Reserve Act, every bit of commerce that we deal with here in America, all the debt instruments and everything, those are all, every last one of them, obligations of the United States. Because the monetary system that they use is monopolized itself as far as the currency. We're not creating our own community currencies within each state or within each community, even as far as counties go. And so we have to remember that's the controlling factor there is that Federal Reserve Act. And that's why it's got that Savings to Suitors Clause in there. Now, along with that, you've got your federal code has 12 U.S.C. 411, which is uniform with the Savings to Suitors Clause. And then each state has within their own constitution the same thing in regards to the Commerce Clause, which also matches the American law and the Constitution's Commerce Clause there on the federal level. Then, when we talk about the Uniform Commercial Code, that's where we see the UCC 1-103.3. And it's telling us all those are uniform. Okay? So then when we look at the Administrative Procedures Act, that tells us how each one runs. And then we have to remember the Judiciary Act of 1789, and that tells us the separation of powers, which again is mentioned uniformly throughout all those jurisdictions within their own regulations. So when we talk about this ledgering, we have to understand that the ledgering is uniform throughout all those jurisdictions as well. And the ledgering is purely commercial. And that ledgering with the double sets of books, public and private side, that's according to their public system. So when we learn to step up to the age of majority and self-govern, we no longer allow them to do any accounting for us. We do our own ledgering. We keep our own records, as we are keeper of records ourselves. We do our own banking. We judge for ourselves. We transport for ourselves. We port. We transfer the porting. We are the port master, postmaster. We are all those things once we learn the capacity. And the main thing about all of it is understanding, is it your value system or their value system? And this is where I want to point out, all your earthly treasures, you can try to take them all with you, but they're not going to go. And when we think about this, understand, people, when you go and you leave this earthly planet, and they put a tombstone on top of a flat ledge, a flat ledge that sits over your grave, that is called a ledger. A ledger. Whose ledger are you going to go by? Because their monetary ledger is not my ledger. I don't have a ledger yet. I'm still live. I'm not fiction. I'm truth. And not until a ledger is placed over my grave and a tombstone be put on that will anyone do any accounting of my life. And it sure will not be another man. Understand this, people. You don't have to listen to their commercial bullshit. They're not to account for you. Period. And remember, people, I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for you. I know I said I'd do my next video would be the First Amendment of the Constitution. I'm hoping I'll have that done tomorrow. Still working on some notes on that. But wanted to get this out there real quick because I want you to understand you don't have to even listen to the Constitution either. You're independent. You can declare that yourself and clarify what constitutes yourself. And you don't need any other signatures. You don't even need to write it down if you know it. I'm a peaceful man. That's what constitutes me. If you want to make it all this and all that, well, are you a peaceful national or are you a peaceful state national? I'm none of those. That's your definition. I'm a peaceful man. That's what constitutes me. And that's what declares that I'm independent from you. So anyway, again, like I said, just a quick short video to help you understand. That's not my ledger. My ledger is that flat ledge when they lay over my grave and put my tombstone on it. And that's when my accounting will be done. And it won't be by another man. Period. Anyway, again, I wouldn't be doing this if it weren't for you guys. God bless. Love y'all. Have a good, safe holiday weekend. And I'll see everybody tomorrow on the First Amendment of the Constitution. Have a great night, everybody. Bye.